We are back to talk 90 Day Fiancé, The Last Resort. I have fixed my wig, girl. It's looking good.
It looks great.
Is it great? Do
yeah,
I look
you
so
look pretty.
Oh, I have to look pretty. We are here to talk 90 Day Fiancé, The Last Resort. We are in season 1, episode 11. This is entitled The Last Text.
What is that about?
I don't know.
s1e11 and Kalani?
s1e11's text. That's the last damn time you clear a text.
I guess.
And cheat on me, boy. I don't know.
Fuck around and find out.
I guess. We start this episode with Liz and Ed playing chess out by the beach. Do we think they know how to play chess?
No.
There's no way
Not at all.
they know how to move a knight or a rook. I'm not buying that at all. Ed is talking to her about his night with the strippers. He's confessing to her that he got motorboated
by a really tall stripper. Amazonian-like stripper.
Right.
Compared to little Ed.
And then Ed is telling Liz how he had talked to s1e11 and was trying to get s1e11 to maybe prepare himself for the ultimate demise of his relationship.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, Big Ed is team s1e11, but that's only because he doesn't really know the full story of Kalani and s1e11's relationship. Liz is biting a hole through her tongue listening to him be pro s1e11 because she doesn't want to spill Kalani's secrets, even though Kalani spilled it for everybody in the world on TV. So I'm like, whatever. But it's fine. She's trying to be a sister and trying to be
you
cool.
tell your wife that? I mean, I would definitely tell my husband anything I learned about something like that.
100%.
Because you're not really friends with Kalani. You don't really know her. You're on her show together.
Yeah.
You would go home and you would tell your husband, oh my God, s1e11 cheated 10 to 12 times on Kalani. And she went out and she met this guy and she banged him. And this is what's going on in that relationship.
And Big Ed would be like, oh, sweet, pop off. Like, that'd be great.
Right. Except he would probably then say something inappropriate later on and get her in trouble. So maybe that's why she's not doing it.
Yeah, probably.
They also, did you notice they said that Jovi and Yara are a cardboard couple who don't want to work on themselves?
That was telling, dude. They only care about their looks and how they appear on social media and all of that. But when it comes down to actually their problems and dealing with it, they don't want to deal with it.
And I believe it. I think they expected to come to the last resort and not have to share too much, not show any of their dysfunction. They were going to bring their fucking fake storylines of no birth control and taking another job. And this stripper gate is actually real, authentic drama that they did not expect to bring to the table. And I love to see them being exposed.
Me too. I love to see Jovi get exposed.
Oh my God, he's such an a-hole.
I can't stand him.
So in the next scene, we start our boat ride. We've got Angela and Michael on the iPad.
With her cat eye glasses. Oh my God.
Jovi and Yara. And we have Liz and Ed. Now, Jovi and Yara are still not doing well. They had the fight the night before after the strip club. And Yara just hasn't really been talking to him too much. But they get on the boat and they start sailing away into dysfunction junction.
Yes. And I think they were talking about, I think Big Ed was trying to open the conversation up about the strip club, right?
I guess.
Or something like that, because somehow along the mix, Big Ed just opens his big ass mouth.
Right.
And is like, Yara, how about you ask Jovi who he was texting last night?
Right.
Like, okay, way to just throw a bomb on this boat.
Why did you do that? Except to just make trouble and to get Jovi in trouble. And Jovi was not expecting that at all.
No, he wasn't.
And of course, in the last episode, we saw Jovi texting a stripper. Now, this is the stripper that he used to date. Took her to Jamaica.
For 2 weeks.
They had sex and everything.
Yeah.
And so now he's in Key West at a marriage retreat. And he's texting this chick that he used to bang and asking her to meet him at the strip club because she's a stripper. Yeah. And he thinks it's totally fine. What's the big deal? No big deal. Get over it.
Just chill out.
What's the problem?
I didn't do anything. She didn't even come over.
I just don't know how to deal with a person like that. He is so unwilling to give her an authentic apology.
I know.
To own any of his shit. I was watching this with my husband and he's like, look at his fucking face. He's so dismissive, rolling his eyes, telling her to shut up.
And get over it.
Right, because Michael wanted to talk to him about something on the iPad. And so he's trying to hear Michael and Yara's still talking because she's traumatized. And he's like, Yara, shut up.
I know.
And everybody on the boat just goes, ooh.
And we've talked about this before about how that's like a line in your guys' relationship with you and your husband. You guys never say that. Not even in jest, because it's just not something you guys will ever tolerate. No. And I'm just like, Yara, why are you even taking this shit from Easter Island head Jovi? I don't get it, dude. He is such an asshole. And like the second he gets called out, he gets defensive. And then when Yara starts reacting to it authentically and is like upset and confronting him on it, he just immediately shuts down, crosses his arms, and doesn't even look at her.
Right.
He's just like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. I'm sorry.
What do you want me to do? It's over. I can't go back. I can't change anything. I hate that shit so much. I'm like actually triggered by Jovi, like the lamest, most non-motherfucking factor person in the world. But I'm like, I can't. I think it's because I've been in relationships with people who treated me that way.
Really?
Like I was having an honest reaction to something super shitty that they did, and they just dismissed me out of hand and gaslighted me as if my reaction was somehow disproportionate to the shit that they did.
Ugh.
There's nothing that'll get me crazy like that. And so Yara starts kind of going crazy.
Well, yeah.
She's sad. She's like, how come you don't just go marry the streeper? How come there's always a streeper? How come you're always obsessed with streeper? Am I not good enough? Do I have to be a streeper for you to love me? And I'm obviously making fun of it because this is a ridiculous show, but this woman is in actual pain.
Yes, and in her talking head, she's like, I'm a deeply insecure person. Right. And Jovi is always telling me that if I wasn't attractive, he would leave me. And so I try my hardest. I go to the gym. I know I had a baby and my body doesn't look the same, but I'm still trying, and I'm trying to be good for him. And what does he do? He texts a stripper he used to fuck.
Right.
Like,
and he does this all the time.
All the time.
It's not the only time he's ever done this. And you can't tell me he's not cheating while he's away on the oil rig.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, if you're texting this stripper in Key West on national TV thinking that it's totally fine, you are texting other women behind her back, and you are doing shit behind her back.
Right.
You're just getting lucky because she doesn't find out. You get all mad at Big Ed snitching on you on the boat. And you're like, you shouldn't have said anything. Why would you throw me under the bus like that?
Bro code, man.
Dude, and I was looking at comments online before we came to this pod, and a bunch of people are siding with Jovi. They're like, oh, that's fucked up, Ed. You ruined the bro code.
Well,
like,
because
that's not
I
cool.
think the intention of Ed was to be shitty. Well, I think the overarching thing that happened, though, was very good. I think Yara needed to know that. Yara didn't know the whole story, but Ed wasn't doing it to really be good to Yara. Ed was doing it to be shitty to Jovi.
That's fair.
But I mean, I don't care because Yara needed to know. She steps away for a little while. She's crying because she's so upset, because this would kill me if I found out that my husband, first of all, had the number of somebody he used to hit it with in his phone and was texting her and calling her and trying to see her while we're on a marriage retreat. That would devastate me.
Me too.
So Yara goes and steps away. Angela, who I felt was like a real OG.
I know, she was being an actual Meemaw.
This whole episode, I thought, oh my gosh, thank you, Angela, because you're calling it out as it is. She hugs her. She's like, that was gross. I'm so sorry. Yara goes back over to Jovi, asks for his phone, which, by the way, is completely legitimate.
Yep.
If you are doing shady shit, if you are breaching the trust with your partner, she has every right to ask you for your phone. And 100%. He's just like, absolutely not.
No. He's like, why would you even ask me that? And he gets triggered by it. And she's like, just let me see your phone so I know you're not doing anything. And he's like, no, that's fucking ridiculous. I don't know why you need to see my phone. I'm like, oh my God.
Is this where she threw the drink at him, or was it before she walked away? I can't remember, but at some point she actually throws her drink at him.
Yes.
And he is flabbergasted.
He is. And he's like smiling. And at first when I watched this, I'm like, is this whole thing scripted? Is this all bullshit?
Because I don't think so.
People are calling that out online as well. They're like looking at Yara and be like, oh, well, you laughed when Big Ed brought up the news that he was texting some hoe.
That was a nervous laugh.
That's what Yara was saying online to all these commenters.
Oh, really?
And yet a lot of these people are like, oh yeah, but Big Ed's in the wrong and he shouldn't have told anybody about it. Like, Jovi should have talked to Yara. And I'm like, but he wouldn't have.
Yeah, and he doesn't do that because he's a piece of shit husband.
Exactly.
And she's being humiliated on a national platform for not being good enough as far as how she feels. And So yeah, maybe she's got some nervous laughter or she doesn't really know how to act in this situation. But I absolutely think what happened was authentic.
Me too.
And the way he responded to her throwing the drink in his face, he was pissed. Like, how the fuck dare you? But I can't really do anything about it. And this is where Angela says, you deserved that.
Yeah.
You deserved that and more, motherfucker. Yep. And this is where Jovi gives a throwaway apology. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't mean it, but we can't go back.
Whatever, dude. He's not actually sorry. And as we see when they get into the hotel room after the whole boat fight, he's still being a piece of shit about it. He doesn't want to admit that he was in the wrong. Yeah, and he's drunk, like always.
Well, before we even get there, we have Ed continuing to stir the pot by bringing up Jovi's daughter, which, by the way, it's a salient point. I mean, that is a point that I would love to make to Jovi. Like, what are you going to do when baby Mila grows up and meets a dude like you, who's been to the strip club since he's 16 years old, salivating over punani? Are you going to be happy if she's dating or marrying a guy like you? So Ed was wrong with the way he did it. Yeah. And his intentions were wrong because he was just trying to cause trouble. Yeah. But Jovi got very offended that he even had the audacity to mention his daughter. He gets up as if he's going to fight, which he's never had a fight in his life. Give me a fucking break, dude. You fucking bitch boy. Absolutely not.
For real. Fucking frat boy acting.
That was like when we were kids on the playground, and I would be like, oh. And then you don't do anything, though. It's like, but Liz jumps up and gets in the middle to protect Ed. Which, by the way, if we can just roll back the tapes to several weeks ago when Angela was attacking Liz and getting straight up in her face in an encounter, which would have caused me to knock the fuck out of Mima. Yeah. I would have gotten right up in her face and made her go down on the ground. That was what I would have done.
Yeah, 100%.
Liz kept her cool, and Ed just let it happen. And Ed was like, "You deserved it for the way you didn't defend me."
Yep, and he grabbed his little banky and he just sat there quivering his lip. And then he gets triggered by her defending him. Right. I'm like, so what is it, Big Ed? Ethel and I were talking about this. She's like, I hate him so much.
Yeah, he's terrible. He's such a piece of shit.
He literally like goes back and forth. He's like, I want you to defend me and back me up. And then when she does that, it makes him look weak. And he doesn't like that. It's like, well, Big Ed, I'm sorry. You are literally a weakling. You are literally a doughboy. Right. I'm sorry. You couldn't fucking beat it in a fight with Jovi. No. Even if you wanted to, Yandana Keto. Right. But Jovi decides not to punch down, literally, because he's on national TV. Right. And he doesn't want to make a fool out of himself. But like, I don't know. Big Ed just intentionally wants to instigate people. And I'm like, 100%. Why? You know you can't defend yourself. You know you have limited range of motion and you can't move your neck.
Don't you think he thinks he can? Do you think he thinks, because he thinks he's an Aikido master, a martial artiste?
I can't.
Don't you think that he thinks in his narc of a deluded brain that he could take Jovi? Or do you think he knows that there's no way? Which is why maybe Liz steps up in the middle, because she knows as well that there's no way.
I feel like he knows he's weak. He just doesn't want people to point that out.
That he's weak, right?
Yeah. I think he puts on the facade because he's a man and men have pride and they want to, right. I'm a man. But he can't because he's so little.
He's little. He's got no muscles.
No neck.
All he does is eat and drink wine. He drinks a lot of red wine. He's drunk a lot.
They're all drunk a lot.
I don't want you to have a stroke, Big Ed. Be careful with your life. You only have one to live. All right. So they finally get back to shore and Jovi jumps out of the boat before the guy has docked. He's like, everybody stay where you are. And Jovi's like, fuck that. I'm the main character. Yep. So he jumps out ahead of time and he walks back to his room. And my husband looked up and he said, wow, that guy's sashaying. The way he's walking.
He is.
Like sashaying.
He's a little bitch boy.
I'm sorry, but he's just the worst.
He is the absolute worst. I hate him so much.
I hate him too. So before we go into the room to talk about Yara and Jovi in that scenario, let's go to Kalani and Asuelu, because this was happening while everybody was on the boat ride. Yeah. So Kalani and Asuelu have a meeting with the two counselors that I can't name because I don't know who they are, nor do I care.
No, I don't care at all.
And she arrives and Asuelu arrives. And long story short, Asuelu tells them what happened. Like, she went away. I don't know where she was. And I was trying to call her and I was very worried. And then he asks her, where were you? And Kalani said, well, I saw you deleting texts.
Yeah.
And so I just thought to myself, well, I can't trust him because he's deleting conversations, to which he says, I wasn't doing anything. I was literally just cleaning up my texts.
Clearing my messages. Do we believe him though?
No.
Yeah.
I probably don't believe him.
That's where I'm just kind of like, well.
Yeah, and neither does she.
Yeah.
And so she's like, well, whatever. I saw you doing that. And so I thought to myself, if he's going to be doing this, then why don't I unblock Dallas, my real handsome side piece, Dallas.
He just loves me so good.
And then we started talking, and he said he wanted to meet up with me so we could have a conversation. And s1e11 says, is he here?
And she's like, yeah, he flew out. And I really was intending just to talk with him.
Sure, Kalani.
I wasn't going to do anything, but we ended up doing other things besides talking.
And this is where he starts flailing about in his chair.
I mean, s1e11, you had it coming. I'm sorry, but like if you've cheated on her this many times,
Yes.
as she has said, and if the sexual abuse allegations are true, like you had it coming. I don't know what you expected, you big dummy.
Well, I think he expected for her to go to 90 Day Fiancé, the last resort, in good faith to actually try and work on their marriage.
Like he did, yeah.
Like he did. But maybe they presented it as something that they'd do for 2 weeks, and then both of them would decide at the end whether they wanted to stay together, kind of like marriage boot camp.
Right.
And so maybe Kalani was looking at it like a chance for her to break it to him that they're not going to make it.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not sure, but I think he went there to save his marriage.
Yeah.
I think he thought Kalani went there for the same reason.
No.
But that is not why Kalani went.
Nope.
And Kalani tells him in this moment that, as you said, they had sex together.
Mm-hmm.
And did s1e11 ask her whether she wanted a divorce? I think
so. Yeah, I think the counselors kind
Okay.
of posed that, and then he's like, do you want divorce? And she's like, yeah.
Yeah, she said yes. And he was sad and crying.
Of
and
course.
She was crying, and she says again that it's been 7 years of struggle, and nobody understands how hard it is to just want a little bit of kindness from your husband, to come home and be in a happy home. And it's just been too hard, and I don't want to fight anymore. I want to divorce. I want to live my own life.
And this is also where she says, like, they have a good thing going in terms of, like, a good friendship, but that's all it really is. So she puts him back in the friend zone, and she's like, I'm done with you, s1e11, and there's literally no chance. And I kind of felt for him in this sense, but at the same time, I'm like, I mean, you made your bed, dude. Like, you can be sad all you want, and there's a lot of talk on the interwebs that he manipulates his tears and uses his tears to get by and to, convince Kalani to stay with him. And I don't know if that's what he was doing here. I think he was genuinely sad and heartbroken. And I mean, Kalani is too. Like, she didn't want this. She wanted a marriage for her kids.
But there hasn't been enough accountability from Kalani at all during this whole season. Like, she hasn't owned any of her bullshit. We have seen previous seasons where you have absolutely been an asshole, been a bully, brought your family into the situation to gang up on s1e11. Like, you didn't do everything right your own self.
Right.
So I didn't hear enough from her taking ownership for the shit that she's done. But at the same time, I do not blame her.
Yep.
I would not want to be married to s1e11 for 1 second more.
No way.
And later that night, she goes to his room where he's packing up his shit. And she's like, oh, by the way, I need it really quickly.
Yeah.
This divorce has to happen quickly.
Watch her marry fucking Dallas, dude. She's like talking about him like he is the best thing ever. I'm like, Kalani, calm down.
Totally.
Like, I understand that you've only ever been with s1e11, to which I'm very sorry about that.
Right. Unfortunately.
That sucks. But like, there's other fish in the sea. And like we said last episode, Dallas is low-key a piece of shit because he knows you're a married woman and you have children. You are a woman of dignity, or should be. And he's
allegedly.
he's still getting with you,
yes,
knowing that you aren't fully divorced and knowing you have kids in the mix. That's messy and that's shitty behavior. So is he really this upstanding guy?
No,
I don't know.
I don't think he's going to stay with her. I bet he's going to cheat on her. I bet he dumps her. And then what happens with s1e11? Does she go back to s1e11? Then what happens?
God, that would be so terrible.
Or we see Kalani on 90 Day Fiancé, The Single Life, and we get to meet Dallas, which is probably the only reason that he is with her, because he, like everybody else in this 90 Day Fiancé universe, it's a clout goblin.
Oh my God, they're totally going to be on
They're
going to
be, and then they're going to have like encounters with s1e11.
Yes.
s1e11's going to be jealous.
Oh my God, you called it,
yeah.
Julia.
And I'm going to be there to watch it.
I mean, I'll watch it too.
100%. All right. Now we go back to Jovi and Yara. So Jovi, again, he got off of that boat before he should. He sashayed away as quickly as possible back to his room. He's sitting there drinking another alcoholic beverage. And just sidebar.
What?
I watched the preview. There's one more group therapy session, and it's that night because everybody's wearing the same clothes as on the boat. So everybody's drunk.
Oh my God.
Jovi's drunk.
It's going to be
Angela's
messy.
drunk. I'm just like, this is going to be crazy next week.
Oh, I can't wait.
So he sits down on the bed. He's drinking. Yara walks in. And long story short, they start arguing about it again. And she's crying and he's dismissing her. And what did you think about this?
Well, he's just telling her to get over it. Like, this is where his true colors are kind of coming out, because he said in prior episodes he doesn't like to fight in front of people. That's why he sashayed away off the boat as quickly as he could, because it was uncomfortable for him to have to be called out on his shitty behavior. And so now that they're in private, he is releasing it out fully. He's like, just get the fuck over it. Why do you even care? It wasn't that big of a deal. She didn't even come. And then Yara's like, but what if she did? What were you going to do then? And he can't even answer the question.
Right.
He's just like, oh, we'll be the same stuff. Yeah, right, dude.
Yeah.
If the cameras weren't there, what would you have done, though? If you were out with your bros who have been going to the strip clubs with you since 16 and are probably just as big of pieces of shit as you are, what would you have done? I think you would have cheated on Yara. And I think you've been cheating on Yara because you're probably a sex addict and you should have been a terminal bachelor. You should have got a vasectomy like 10 years ago. So that way you could have lived your life being a man whore, and that's fine. But like, you couldn't do that. And now you have a wife and a child and you're acting like a piece of crap. And I'm glad that Big Ed called you out and said, hey, what would your daughter think of you?
Right.
Because you would not want your daughter to be with a man like you.
No, you wouldn't.
And yet you continue to act like one to her mother, and you don't see anything wrong with it. It's shitty.
It's really shitty. But at the same time, Yara, you are complicit in your own misery. And I realize it takes a long time to leave a bad man. It takes a long time to leave a bad marriage. But at some point, you are going to have to love yourself more than you love this piece of shit person who, in everything he's doing, he may not be saying it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. But in everything he's doing, he's putting you down. And he's diminishing your value. He knows what he's doing to you. You're freaking crying here saying, I know I had a baby and my body has changed, but I'm doing everything I can. I go to the gym every day. He knows that there is power that he is wielding over you, making you feel this way. And the worse you feel about yourself, the more likely you're to stay with a piece of shit like him. He knows that power dynamic. But until you wake the fuck up, it is not going to change. And then you're going to leave him. I believe in you, Yara. I believe in you. You're going to leave him. And as we say, you're going to go back to Europe. You're going to find yourself a Swiss man who's very handsome. He's got a long bank account. Take care of Mila. You're going to run away while he goes away to the oil rig and his strip clubs, and he'll come back. You'll be gone. And then he's just going to be another lonely fucking loser at the strip club, drinking too much, getting fat,
single.
Nobody's going to want him except if he's got money. And he's going to be lonely. And that is what he deserves, because he didn't value you. He didn't treasure you. He didn't love you the way that he should. And Yara, that's on you. At some point, that's on you.
Totally. And I felt for her because I think it was in this scene where she was like, why doesn't he just tell me? Like, why doesn't he just tell me he doesn't want to be with me? He'd rather be with other women. Then I would just leave and I'd let him be alone.
Why does he have to tell you? He's doing it, though.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, like you were saying, she is complicit in her own misery. It's like, Yara, he literally is telling you that.
He's showing you exactly who he is.
He called sex with you 6 out of 10 while you said 8 out of 10.
You're a literal goddess and he is a goblin.
And
he's a gremlin. He's a golem.
Totally. And I think she probably got her most recent boob job after she had Mila because of him. I bet he was body shaming her. And I bet he's been doing this entire time throughout their relationship. I bet he wasn't attracted to her when she was pregnant. I bet he's been a piece of shit this whole entire time. Yara, leave him. Maybe she feels bad because she's like, well, now I have a fucking baby in the mix.
Who cares? Go live with your mom. Your mom will take care of your baby. You'll get a job. You will be just fine.
Yep, for real.
By the way, I saw a picture. I think it was on Reddit. It could have been on Instagram of the before and after of Yara. And I had no idea.
Oh, about her plastic surgery?
Yeah, I had no idea what she actually looked like before because I didn't watch their seasons. But like, it is actually a very drastic difference. She was beautiful before. She's certainly beautiful now, but like, wow, she's done a lot
to
herself to change, to fit into the mold of what she thinks Jovi likes.
It's
Fuck
really
that
sad.
Clown, dude.
I'm like, just don't turn into a Darcy, Yara. Like, please don't turn into a Darcy, because Darcy did similar shit. She did a lot of plastic surgery because she felt super insecure, and it was partly because of that asshole Jesse that she was with for a long time. And I'm like, Yara, don't go on this trajectory.
Oh my God, I just saw a picture of Darcy. I've got to show it to you after we pod. She's gotten some new procedure. I think she's got a different like cat eye lift thing. Her lips are bigger than ever. Like it's so outside of the realm of normal so as to be dysphoric. Like she's not seeing herself accurately anymore. She's just seeing the plastic surgery. I don't know what she's seeing, but it's not accurate.
Her surgeon should be in jail, dude.
And it's like 2,000 comments of, lady, what are you doing? What are you doing? God. You look terrible. Like people are really mean to her.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think she has an actual issue.
I agree. Yeah.
She's so unhappy with herself for whatever reason. Yep. I guess in high school, Darcy and Stacy were bullied a lot.
Really?
They were bullied a lot. I don't remember the origin story, but there's something in there just like with Yara.
Yeah.
From the time she was a child, she felt less than. She felt ugly.
Yeah.
And so here she is on the plastic surgery journey, and she could stop right here. She looks gorgeous.
Yep.
But it'll never, ever be enough for Jovi.
Nope. Nothing ever will be. Even if you are a streeper, it's never going to be enough.
No, I'm sure she probably does some streeping for him
probably.
To try to make him happy. And she's not comfortable doing that. He was saying in this episode that they have different values around sex because of her culture and where she comes from. And so she's pushing herself to the limits for this absolute Cro-Magnon Neanderthal a-hole. And, give him 10 years, he's going to have a beer belly because he drinks too much. He doesn't eat right. Well, I guess he does. He watches his calories, right? His vodkas and waters. But he's going to have a beer belly. He's going to have a receding hairline. That fucking pompadour that he is always wearing is going to be like fucking widow peeking out. He's going to have a bald spot. And then who's going to love you, Jovi, you piece of shit?
No one!
You piece of shit.
You'll have to pay for sex. You'll have to get...
And he would.
Yep.
I absolutely see
totally
him doing
would.
That. And he's going to miss Yara.
Yep.
And she's going to be gallivanting around Europe with a new man and
God, I hope so.
A new baby daddy. And we love that for her.
We do.
We are putting that on the vision board, honey. All right. So this episode closes out with Liz and Ed going back to their room. And Liz is upset because Ed can't just shut the fuck up. Like none of that really had to happen. I know you're mad at me because I jumped into the argument to save you from Jovi. I know you're mad at me for that, but that didn't even have to happen in the first place because you could have just shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah, but he can't.
No.
Because it's Big Ed and he's got a big fucking mouth. And he's like, what? I just had to say so. I shouldn't have said something, I guess. I'm sorry. But you didn't have to jump in because it made me look like a weak man.
I know. That's not what makes you look weak. God. It's that you're weak. You're inherently weak.
Literally,
that's
your
what
whole
makes you look
stature.
Weak. Right. Yeah. And just the hypocrisy of it.
God.
I just don't even want to go too deep into it because these two aren't deep in the first place. But you can see he's triggering her because she's doing exactly what he told her he wanted her to do on the night of the hot tub.
Yep.
She's actually doing it. And now you're mad. So I'm damned if I do. And I'm damned if I don't. And by the way, I did something for you that you've never done for me.
Yep.
You haven't stuck up for me. When somebody was straight up in my face, physically aggressive with me, you didn't get in between the two women and protect me. You don't know how to do that, you piece of absolute garbage.
I know. I think their storyline is low-key scripted as well because on the boat, I caught Ed telling Jovi, because Jovi's like, why'd you throw me under the bus? And Ed's like, well, you made me lie to my wife. Right. And we know that him and Liz didn't get married until after the filming. So either they've been married this whole entire time and this is all just fake bullshit, or he slipped it or something because he proposed to her. I don't know. Maybe he feels
her to
like
be that way. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were scripted. And
nobody
if this
can make
drama.
you lie to your wife, by the way. You were trying to fit in with the bros and you lied yourself, Ed. But he doesn't take any responsibility. He's not a conscious being. He's an NPC.
All of these people
Why do we share oxygen with these people? Then we get to the preview, which I didn't even write down, but it looks like next week is the last episode.
Yeah, it looks like it's the finale.
Good.
I watch it be like 45 minutes. It's not even going to be a full hour.
Wrap it up. I mean, they have to make their final decision.
Yeah.
Producers are kind of faking us out as if Liz is going to say no, but we know she says yes because they've already released it on social media that Ed and Liz are married.
The same thing with Ed, or Angela and Michael.
Yep. Yara doesn't want to talk talk at the drunk group counseling.
Of course.
But I'm sure they're going to reaffirm their vows and blah, 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 blah.
It's going to be boring.
But it's going to be the end of our journey with these people.
I know.
I've actually enjoyed The Last Resort.
Me too. And I'm hoping they do more seasons.
I would love for you to do more seasons.
I bet Gino and Jasmine are going to be on.
They need to be on.
They have to be.
I saw, I think, a commercial for Pedro and Chantal, the final season. Now, is this something you're even remotely interested in? Because I think it's going to start right when this drops off.
Yeah.
And I've watched a couple, 2-3 seasons of Pedro and Chantal, and I found everybody to be insufferable, especially her Clout Goblin parents and his Clout Goblin family. Mm-hmm. But I think that they are on the brink of divorce.
They totally are.
I think Pedro might have cheated.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Chantal has gotten a lot of plastic surgery. If this is the final season, is this something that you might be interested in watching, Beatrice? It doesn't look like you are.
Well, maybe. I mean, if it's like the end of their relationship, it might be interesting and dramalicious, but I know a lot of people are like commenting on the previews for this and they're like, just end it already.
Yeah.
They're like so over it. What if they're on The Last Resort?
Oh my God, that would be great.
Oh my God.
See, there are so many iconic couples that could actually return to The Last Resort, and I would be so sold and
that would be so fucking good. As long as they get rid of some of the like serious therapy sessions and make it just more like, ridiculous. Like nobody cares. Nobody's actually working on this.
We want the Kama Sutra. Yes. We want the sexy stuff, the toys. We want that.
Yes.
But I feel like you and I, as the lead raccoons in the dumpster, are coming up against a predicament because we've got Plathville. We've got maybe another month to go.
Yep.
Sister Wives may be concluding in 2 to 3 weeks.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to cover? Last Resort is done.
Yeah.
Okay, raccoons, we need to hear from you.
Let us know.
What would you like us to cover in the coming months? What are your favorite shows? The trashier, the better.
Yes.
We tend to like TLC because that's the bottom of the barrel, the dregs of humanity. These are the people we love. But I mean, are you open to Bravo or anything else? Or
yeah.
Are you?
I probably would be into some Bravo. I know some people have been commenting saying we should cover Salt Lake City.
I'm so enjoying Salt Lake City.
I heard it's crazy.
It's actually really fun with Jen Shaw gone.
Yeah.
She was just a tornado of a woman. With her gone and like the introduction of a new character who's not as rich as everybody else. So she's bringing some worldly experience and representation.
Ooh.
I just think it's actually really entertaining.
I'd be into that.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's been on for a little while now.
That's okay.
Okay, well, we'll think about it. You guys comment or write us. You can always leave us a message, by the way, by going to speakpipe.com/realitytvcringe. I would personally love to hear your opinions about what you think of Cody Brown.
Yes.
And what's going to happen with this entire family. Also the Plaths, 90 Day Fiancé. And if you have any recommendations for shows, leave us a message and tell us why.
Yes.
And maybe we'll get into it, like Love After Lockup. Maybe we need to figure that shit out.
Maybe we do need to figure that shit out because people keep saying that is really good.
Yeah.
I want some trashy new TV, man.
I do as well. We want to be inspired raccoons, bringing you the best trashy content. All right, Beatrice, is there anything else that we need to say to these beautiful raggoons?
Well, if you love our podcast, I sure hope that you give us a glowing 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us grow the pod. Thank you so much.
We will be back next week for our 100th episode. Bitch, can you believe it?
I can't believe we even made it to 100.
I didn't know that we would even make it like longer than a few weeks.
Me neither.
Podding, just screaming into the void about Cody Brown. But it's 1 year later, 100 episodes, a Patreon, a YouTube, a community of fat raccoons in the dumpster with us.
God.
It is so fabulous. So we'll be back
awesome.
next week for our 100th episode. We'll be talking about Cody Brown and the rest of those raccoons. And until then, don't forget, we love you and peace out.
Bye.